Ah, I can see those, but they're sitting there right there in the lawn. Yeah, you're pretty lazy. I think you are. I think you're pretty lazy. Yeah, you should be more afraid of me, you know. Should be technically afraid. I'm very afraid of the human. Humans suck. Anyway, so I wasn't going to make a video, but there was deer sitting there. So I guess I have to make a video. But I really don't know if I got a subject. Let's see, maybe I'll make an Efilist video. What the hell? Click on Just Say No to Kids channel. So, yeah, we'll just start from the beginning here. Alright, replicating molecule. Ooh, windy. Windy day. The sea is rough. The ammonia sea. Molecules bang together, blah, 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 blah. This happens, that happens, who knows what. Some sort of little, this little chemical bangs into that little chemical, smashes into that little chemical. And all three of them together mean, hey, we can make copies. And it's on a DNA molecule. So, two of the molecules don't get copied. The only one that gets copied is the DNA. The other molecules, let's just say what do they do? Yeah, I don't know, the DNA makes them, let's say, right? Ooh, that might be interesting. Yeah, DNA molecule makes the chemicals that read the DNA. Yeah, that might be interesting. DNA molecules could make lots of different kinds of chemistry. They don't have to just do the, make a copy of yourself thing. They could make modifications of themselves or just pieces of themselves. So that's sort of the neat thing about DNA molecules, is that theoretically they can make lots of different kinds of compounds by the order in which they sequence chemicals together. So a chemical can run across the DNA molecule or roll across it, and it could be shaped by that into a function. And if you do that a zillion times, one of them might end up being useful to some purpose, and the purpose being replication. So anyway, you got this replicating cell, and you go through all this crap. It has a membrane, and inside is a DNA molecule floating about, and it's off to the races, right? The molecule replicates. It splits in half, and the two halves are, which are attracted, have an affinity for compounds that match what they lost. So it's like the two rungs of a ladder. Ladder splits in half, and then the pieces are reassembled on the two halves. So anyway, then it does this crap for a while as a nucleus, I guess, and then the nucleus ends up creating another outer membrane. Our nucleus consumes another nucleus. It doesn't really matter. What's established is a two-membrane system, which seems a little more functional. And you got the single cell of traditional pictures and photos and whatnot, so no point in going into a whole bunch of that stuff. Eventually it becomes more complex in terms of the interior functions. It does the flagellum thing, the tail thing. Lots of different kinds of chemical compounds are formed inside this little protective shell, and it evolves for 1 billion years before it gets to something like a clam, something simple, flatworm. But it gets there eventually by doing this cellular thing first, and then doing the multicellular colony of cells doing different things, and it works out pretty well in terms of making yourself something. So the parts start off really small, little chemical machines that split the DNA molecule, maybe help recombine it, certainly move it from here to there, all that kind of process, little tiny machines. And the cells become machines, part of organs in these bigger organisms. And so what do you got? You got a device that replicates at its core. That's what we are at the core. It's all riding on your nuts. It's all riding on your ovaries. It's all riding on those gonads. And that's the machine. And the rest of it is just to get that replicated. That's the design function. That proves your success. If you can get that done, you win the contest. Your crap goes into the future, and you're able to talk and make a video in the future because you won. Just like all my ancestors were winners, so I'm able to make this video. Yeah, too bad I think they're all assholes and idiots for winning. I wish they would have let the other guy win. But regardless, this is how it ended up. I'm the winner based on their performance. That's the legacy, the inheritance. Bullshit. Well, I wouldn't have done it, but they did it. And so as machines, so what are we here to do? How do we function? What's our mechanism? We got the reproduction thing, so you have to have this whole tools thing. You got to have tools to survive. And so we became a little niche animal that found survival in hiding and probably squeaking around in the underneath the leaves and stuff in the beginning, hiding from the big monsters. And we figured out a way to pick our way of life with our little fingers, rats. Yeah. And so, and then we moved up into the trees and like the other simian types, and found life good up there. Lots of fruits to eat and leaves and whatnots, and you're away from the worst of the predators. And then that became crowded up there, and so go west, young man. So the little mutants decided to crawl back on the ground again. So we became upright. We could look around for the threat that's coming. As we pick with our little fingers, our little bits to shove in our gob, and that's our tool. But the tool that was really growing through that time is the psychology, the brain, the reflexes. They're growing into something more and more capable of learning and adapting as an individual, not just as a species. So while many organisms have a pre-running instinctive style programming that creates a bunch of fundamental mechanisms that are pretty rigid, swim up the stream, spawn, die, don't ask why kind of stuff, we started doing this more elaborate, modify yourself to the environment. It's almost a kind of camouflage, just to the seasons, just to the, you move off a few hundred miles and you live in a desert. Or you go 500 miles that way and you're living on the coast, and you adapt to that new world. And we have a brain that allows for that kind of adaptation. And we became social animals because that's you can't raise brainy kids without nurturing them and growing them up. That's what most mammals have to do. They have to invest some time to get those things running right. Train them, educate them in the ways of your kind. And so so we had to do that, and so that became social animals, because we had to spend some time with each other. Couldn't just hatch from the egg and start running for the ocean. We had to do more than that to live in our niche. So we became social animals, family animals, tribe animals, gangs. And for that kind of gameplay, you need a different kind of psychology. You need a psychology of hierarchy and dominance. Lots of passive-aggressive kind of crap, drama and whatnot, emotional bullshit and baggage, love and hate, all kinds of emotions to bind you together and to drive you apart where necessary. Because there's all kinds of subtle complexities. It isn't good for your biology to, be screwing members of your own family. So you want to replicate with the other tribe. So you have to have some mechanism to make them attractive and to make your own kind repulsive. All kinds of psychological weapons to make you more capable and certainly more likely to be the seed donor if you're a male, was being a dominant male, getting to the top of the hierarchy, get your alpha status in most mammals, and you win more often in terms of getting your code into the future. But it's all just a psychology to get your code into the future. It's not psychology to make you feel spiritual or awe or passion or deep feelings or thoughts, ideas, thingies, whatever. All that crap is just crap. It's just a bunch of stuff invented to create inside of you the motivation to take, to get, to chase almost insatiably. To just keep testing the model that you are and to keep creating in it standards of performance that make you not only more survivable within your group, but your group more survivable as a cell, and your species more survivable than the other competing kinds or forms of animal. So